Hello, welcome to Casey's Ice Cream Parlor, the podcast where we recap every single Sweet Valley Twins book in the series. I'm Paula and I'm here with Rich.
Hello.
This week we are recapping book number 6, The New Girl.
Yes, The New Girl.
And as we know from The Haunted House,
She's a
Sweet
bitch.
Valley Middle School aren't nice to new people in general, are they?
Sweet Valley Middle School are awful to new students, new kids that they meet. However,
Outsiders.
in this case, they might have a point.
Yeah. So the cover of ours is brown.
It's the colour of Jessica's bedroom.
Yeah. The Hershey bar.
Mm-hmm.
Waterware said her cover is orange.
Aww.
Which I'm not keen on orange either, but it's better than brown.
Better than brown, yeah. I
don't know
was
why
going to say.
they've made it brown.
Didn't we have grey last week?
Yeah,
as well?
the Kelly's book was grey.
What's going
the
on?
Really high book we did. These crap colours.
We want pastels, goddammit.
It says, how can twin sisters cause triple trouble?
Well,
Wow.
we will find out.
Identical twins Elizabeth and Jessica Wakefield don't always agree on things until Brooke Dennis arrives at Sweet Valley. Both twins agree that she's horrible. She snaps at everyone who tries to be nice to her, and she's constantly saying mean things to people. Damn right she is.
Yeah, that is not an exaggeration.
Literally constantly.
Yeah.
To get even with Brooke, the twins invent a third lookalike sister, whom they call Jennifer. Pretty soon, all of Sweet Valley Middle School is in on the plan. I never get that. They managed to get everyone involved.
This is one of the questions I have as we go on.
I
Cause,
guess Caroline spreads it around.
But it's the most ludicrous plan. And I still don't understand half of this book, if I'm honest.
No. But then Elizabeth discovers the real reason why Brooke is so mean. Suddenly, the plan to get revenge doesn't seem like such a good idea. Can Elizabeth stop her classmates from playing the ultimate joke before Brooke's heart gets broken?
Probably not. But let's find out.
We start with the twins walking home from school, and Jess is trying to get Liz to do her book report.
Yes.
As usual.
She's complaining that she won't have time to do the book report and also learn the new cheer. And, her whole argument here is but if I do the homework, I won't have time to do my cheer, and then I'll be the worst member of the booster club, and you wouldn't want that, would you, Liz? And I was like, I don't think Liz cares.
Don't think she cares,
I
yeah.
literally don't think she gives a shit.
But she says that she will do it if Jessica helps her secure an interview for the Sixers.
Yes, and Jess is quite cautious about who could this be.
It's with the new girl, Brooke Dennis, a.k.a. Disgusting Dennis.
Yes.
So we met Brooke in the last book. And in the last book, she kicked a dog.
An elderly, arthritic dog.
Yeah, and what else did she do? I can't remember.
She said that the dog was disgusting and that
not even worth looking at.
Not even worth looking at. She was really rude to Jess, and then later on, she was also rude to Amy and Elizabeth when they were looking for Sally.
But Liz has heard from Caroline that Brooke's father is a famous screenwriter.
Yes, he has. He's written one film in particular that we'll get to pretty soon.
But Jessica says she's never going to speak to that girl again, and she's going to make sure that none of her friends have anything to do with her.
No, she says,
Boo-hoo. She'll never be a unicorn.
She'll never be a unicorn, no. And of course, Jess says that Big Mouth Pierce is nothing but a full-time gossip.
Yeah,
I mean, it's stating a fact, yeah. It's you're not wrong.
So, at home in the Wakefield Spanish tiled kitchen, Jessica finds a big box of donuts.
Ooh.
And she starts helping herself. And then we get this, really stupid banter with Stephen.
They do this in Sweet Valley High as well.
They do this all the time.
The banter. The Stephen banter.
Yeah. Stephen says, hold it right there. And he's pointing his fingers like guns. One more bite and you'll both be eating dust. This is a stick-up, and I'm the fastest shot in the West.
Liz quips back that he's also the fastest chewer.
Good one, Liz.
Well done, Liz. That showed him.
And Jess says she's keeping this loot, and she'd like to see the cowpoke who can stop her. Oh, those kids. Stephen tells her that he's serious, though, because Alice has bought them for a very important new client.
Yeah, now, Stephen, if it was a very important new client, maybe you should have led with that instead of a joke.
Yeah.
Because, I would have kept eating if you'd done that. You know.
And then Alice comes in, and she catches Jess in the act.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because she's got another treat. she's got, at the back of the fridge, she's got a giant lemon meringue pie. And she tells them it's all for the new client, Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, so basically, she says that she's got this plan now where she knows that her daughters have no discipline and will just eat anything in the fridge. So she's bought double.
Yeah.
To try and, like, rather than just sort her kids out and make them a bit more disciplined around the house, she just buys
just
double.
Buy more.
Yeah.
So her new client is called Mr. Dennis. He's coming over for dessert, which is a bit weird. Not dinner, just dessert.
This really weirded me out because at first I was like, they must mean they're coming round for food.
Yeah.
But no,
they're just coming for dessert.
They're having a meal at their own house.
Yeah.
And then they're coming over
for
just for dessert.
And he's also bringing his daughter.
Oh no.
Who could his daughter be?
I wonder.
She tells Stephen he might want to get his autograph book out because Mr. Dennis wrote the movie Car Capers.
And Stephen cannot believe it.
Yeah,
he says
freaks
it
out.
is, quote, the greatest movie of all time.
Doesn't sound that great,
It
to be honest.
sounds rubbish.
I really want to know what it's about.
I'm guessing it's just... Is it car chases?
Is it like Fast and Furious?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, maybe it
But
is like
less violent.
like
and
80s, 90s Fast and Furious. I thought it sounded like
more of a comedy.
It sounds like the kind of VHS tape you pick up at a petrol station. You know, like world's greatest car chases.
Yeah.
You know, like something like that.
Yeah.
Rather than an actual film, but
Jessica says she'd rather die than have dessert with Brooke. And she explains to Alice all about Brooke and what she's done.
yeah, she says that it just goes to show that fame can't buy everything because it couldn't buy him, being Mr. Dennis, a human being for a daughter.
But Steve and Liz say that they're going to give her a chance. And then they go upstairs. Jessica tells Liz that she's going to tell their parents that she's got too much homework to join them for dessert.
Yeah.
But Liz points out that they'll never believe that.
Yeah, like Jess, that's the worst excuse you could have come up with. That's the sort of excuse Liz could use.
She could have
but
said
not
she
Jess.
needs to practice a new cheer or
Yeah.
something. But she says, well, I'm just going to fake being sick, which shouldn't be too hard, as I already feel sick thinking about Brooke. And then she says, do you know she was actually wearing a skirt and stockings on the weekend? So...
Yeah, apparently she looked like she belonged on the cover of 17.
Yeah, she looked like she belonged on the cover of 17 magazine. Like, why is that bad? You're
Again,
saying she looks like a cover girl. Like,
yeah,
ooh,
and again,
burn.
it's projection because Jess and the Unicorns would be so happy to look like that. Like,
Yeah.
they'd have no issue with that. It's only because it's someone she doesn't like.
Yeah, that's not an insult, saying, like, she could be a model.
Yeah, like, oh, you should see her. She could be a model. How disgusting.
Yeah. So they eat dinner, and then as soon as it's over, Jessica starts doubling over, clutching her stomach, giving one of her Oscar-winning performances.
Yeah, maybe she could be in a Mr. Dennis movie.
Yeah. And then when the doorbell rings, I'm surprised she's not trying to get in with Brooke, actually, for that reason.
I think it just shows how much she, like, properly hates Brooke. That she
Yeah.
doesn't... Because normally, the book would go like this. It would be like, Jessica's like, that girl's disgusting. And then it's like, oh, her father's really famous. And then Jess would be like, oh, I love that girl. She's really cool. But this time, it's like, no. I hate Brooke so much. I don't care what her father does. I hate her.
And then the doorbell rings and Jessica races upstairs and shuts herself in her bedroom, saying that she's eaten too much.
Yes.
Brooke walks in stiffly with her nose in the air. But apparently she still seemed very delicate, with huge brown eyes and soft brown curls. Alice brings out the lemon meringue pie, and Brooke rudely says she doesn't want any because she liked the food back home.
Yeah.
Like, is lemon meringue pie different, like in different states?
Just
like,
taste differently.
It's a lemon meringue pie.
I mean,
So
normally...
think it's not like foreign.
Yeah, and normally you would try the food before saying it was better elsewhere, you know.
So Liz tries to change the subject. She suggests they go upstairs to listen to the latest Johnny Buck album.
Wow.
Can you remember what it's called?
The latest Johnny Buck
Yeah.
album. Oh no,
This time.
Oh no. I don't have it written down either.
It's the part. No, they didn't mention it in this book.
Oh.
I'm just remembering it from the last.
What
book.
was it called?
Pass the Buck.
Oh, Pass the Buck. That's a brilliant name. Well done.
Remembering
Well done,
it
Mr.
sneaking
Buck.
out.
Well, Brooke has got some terrible news for Liz.
the worst
she
thing.
hates the Buck.
Yeah. How could she?
How could anyone?
I know.
Anyone hate the Buck?
She's clearly not a normal teenager.
Even Stephen,
Yeah.
who hates everything, loves the Buck. And actually, we never found out how his date went. Never heard about that.
Is it with Marcia?
Yeah. Whatever happened?
But Brooke only listens to classical music, apparently.
Which, would normally please Liz, but apparently not here.
No, Mr. Dennis says he's responsible for that, and he's tried to get her to spend time with people her own age. And then she says, I'd be bored if I did that. And then she looks pointedly at Elizabeth.
Yeah, she's like, I'd be so bored if I hung around with kids my age.
Mm-hmm. Well, she probably would be bored if she hung around with Elizabeth.
Everyone would be bored hanging around with
Elizabeth is boring.
But Elizabeth shouldn't be your gauge for, kids your age.
So Alice asks her what colours she'd like to decorate her new room. And she says she doesn't need anyone's help to decorate her room. It's like you're 12 years old. I think you do need help.
No, it doesn't matter, though, because it doesn't matter what you do. It will never be as good as her old room where she used to live.
Yeah. She's just like insult after insult after like moan after moan.
During all of this,
she never stops.
No, it's relentless from the moment she meets. This is the first time she's ever met Alice and Ned, right? The first time she's met any of them. Immediately she's like this. She's like this with everyone. And it should be pointed out that at this point of the conversation, Liz begins to think Jess is right. Brooke is a complete piece of shit.
Yeah, even Liz.
Even Liz.
But Ned's still sympathetic and says, moving is hard and you'll make new friends. But she says she doesn't need any friends. And then after she leaves, Liz admits to Jessica that Brooke is the rudest person she's ever met.
Yeah.
And that Jess was right.
Obviously that pleases Jess. She says she didn't try to kick any dogs tonight, but she sure did her best to hurt everybody's feelings. But there's even worse news.
Alice has volunteered them both to walk to school with her every day because she lives nearby.
Yeah.
Of course, Jess's first thought about this is what the unicorns will think.
Of course.
And Liz gets some digs in about how snobby the unicorns are.
Yeah.
I thought that. I'm surprised Brooke doesn't want to join the unicorns because she's rude and snobby just like them.
Yeah, under different circumstances, she'd make a perfect member.
She would.
She'd make an absolutely perfect member. In this book, she gives Lila a run for her money.
I'd say she's even ruder than Lila.
I think she probably is, actually. She's awful. Jess says that just because her friends are popular doesn't make them snobs. And I thought, well, Lila is definitely a snob.
Yeah.
Like, for sure, she's a snob. In fact, she goes to great lengths to point out how much of a snob she is.
And Jess says, maybe I'll fake my stomachache again tomorrow. And it would be for the best if Liz walked with Brooke alone, because everyone's used to seeing Liz with social rejects. But Jessica can't afford to be seen with the wrong people.
Yeah.
But Liz says we should try and make the best of it.
Yes. Then the next day, Liz wakes up and, I guess she has that moment in bed when you wake up and you're like, oh, it's the morning, and then you immediately remember something awful, and she's like, oh, God, I've got to walk with that Brooke.
Yeah. And Jessica didn't sleep well. She tells Liz she's been having Brooke mares and not to count on her walking with that monster. And then at breakfast, Jessica shows off the Nancy Drew poster she's made for the school book fair.
Yeah, this actually sounds amazing.
Which sounds absolutely delightful.
She's put loads of work into it. Have you got the description?
It says she traced the covers of her favourite Nancy Drew books with magic markers and glitter glue.
It just sounds awesome.
I know. I love it.
I actually felt so bad for her later, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. She says the poster's so big that she's going to have trouble carrying it to school, so Ned offers her a ride.
Yeah, this was her plan. It's a good plan. This is a solid plan.
Yeah, and then as soon as he offers her the ride, she dashes off out of the door, leaving Liz alone to walk with Brooke.
Yep.
She gets out of everything.
She does. She knows exactly what she's doing.
So Liz sets off, and as soon as she gets to Brooke's house, Brooke starts, literally the second she gets there. She asks her what took her so long.
She asks if it was because she was walking her dilapidated dog.
Yeah. Brooke's wearing a green blouse and skirt with a necklace of emerald beads and lime-coloured earrings. I have to say, Brooke's outfits, I really enjoyed them in this book.
Well, I haven't written...
She sounds like an absolute style icon to me.
I haven't written a single one down on the assumption that you would have written them down, so...
She sounds great. Mm-hmm. Which I just realised we forgot to describe the cover.
Oh, no.
But on the cover, she looks pretty boring. She's wearing...
She does. She doesn't look like herself in the cover, does she?
No. She's wearing just a plain white blouse and a grey skirt. And one of the twins, I'm not sure which one, I think it's Jessica, is wearing a massive red cardigan that looks like it should belong to Alice, and a red bow in her hair, for reasons that we'll get into.
We will get to the red bow very shortly.
And for a change, it's not a twin standing behind someone. It's Brooke standing behind the twin,
yeah,
pointing at her and giving her a
I've noticed that every guest star on the cover of a Sweet Valley book, no matter what they're meant to dress like, they're always dressed in something Liz would wear.
Yeah.
It just seems to be like the pattern
I've never noticed
with
that.
all of these books. I don't know why.
So, yeah, we were describing Brooke's outfit and saying I think she looks great.
Yeah. Liz obviously thinking of Sally the dog, says that, she's confused her with Jess, but that she'll meet Jess later. And Brooke immediately says, I can't hardly wait.
On the way to school, Liz suggests Brooke might want to work on the Sixers. But Brooke says she's got better things to do than write for a dumb kids' paper.
It's the one time I agree with Brooke in this book.
So she's now slagged off Johnny Buck and the Sixers.
And Alice's lemon meringue pie.
Yeah, she's awful.
Yeah.
She's just
like literally everything.
She doesn't like anything.
No.
So Liz tries to talk to her about her family instead, like, about her dad. Mm-hmm. But she says, look, I don't want to walk with you, and cut the 20 questions.
Yeah.
So they walk the rest of the way in silence.
And it even says that Liz is kind of relieved to just walk in silence rather than have to bother at this point. She's like, fine, that's fine by me.
And then when they get to school, Liz introduces her to Amy and Julie. And Brooke says, if you want me to join your happy little family, you can forget it. And then, of course, tomboy Amy...
Who they cannot leave it. They have to mention how tomboyish she looks.
Yeah, but they didn't mention her hair in this one.
No, they didn't mention her hair, but they call her tomboyish.
But yeah, of course, tomboy Amy doesn't take any shit.
No,
and just tells her she's rude. And I was like, go on, Amy, hit her.
Yeah,
hit her.
yeah.
Get your baton out of your bag and hit her.
Yeah, she says that Liz was only being polite, something that Brooke would know nothing about. They're happy, by the way, Julie and Amy, because they've got amazing news. These genius kids, these child prodigies, have come up with the most amazingly original idea ever, and Mr. Bowman also thinks it's an amazing idea. They're going to do reviews of music.
Of records.
Wow. What an amazing idea. These Einsteins have come up with the most groundbreaking idea for a newspaper article. They're going to do music reviews.
And then Brooke says she doesn't intend to be around long enough to get to know any of them anyway, and that's a loss that she can live with.
Yeah. Which, of course, makes Liz absolutely furious. But she is subsequently, or very quickly, relieved when she finds out she doesn't actually have any classes with Brooke anyway. So it's fine.
Yeah, but even after all that, she still walks Brooke to her homeroom.
I know, I was really confused by that. I was like, why are you still going with her? I'd just be like, yeah, you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own now.
Like, I told my mum I would walk you to school. I have done that. Goodbye.
Brooke's first class is social studies, and she's sat next to Jessica.
Immediately asking, which Bobsy twin are you?
What's the Bobsy twin?
I don't know. Maybe someone in America will know.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's some kind of famous twins.
Yeah,
in America.
I don't know.
And she's like, oh, the twin with the tummy ache. Did Mummy make it all better?
Yeah, Jess says that her stomach ache is gone, but with Brooke around, she's still got a pain in the neck. That was a good comeback, I thought.
It was. I can imagine her poking her tongue out and
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially at this age.
Yeah. And then suddenly Caroline Pierce lets out an ear-splitting shriek.
Oh my god.
Charlie Cashman has flicked an elastic band at her.
Well, the class find this quite funny. Even Caroline Pierce seems to take it, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But someone doesn't.
Yeah. Brooke stands up in front of everybody and snitches on him to Mrs. Arnett, the hairnet.
And she also the hairnet. She also goes one step further. She doesn't. Not only does she snitch on Charlie, she also says, "Oh, and everyone in this room seems to find it really funny," and then looks at Jess specifically.
And the whole class is really shocked. because as we're learning that Sweet Valley High has Sweet Valley Middle School has prison rules. Tattletales are the lowest form of humanity.
Yeah, even Caroline whispers, just what we need, an FBI informer. I made a note here that this probably explains a lot of the behaviour that Bruce gets away with later in life.
Yeah.
Like this, oh, you can't snitch. It's like, well, there are certainly occasions when you should.
And then word gets around that Brooke is a grass.
Yeah, right. We're talking first lesson of the day. She's upset an entire class now.
Yeah.
Everyone she meets.
And then later on, she's in Jessica and Lila's English class. And Lila's upset with her too.
Yeah.
Because Lila's twisted her ankle, and in the corridor, Brooke accused her of being a slow walker.
Yeah. It's like, well, she's twisted her
twisted ankle.
Yeah. I wouldn't mess with Lila.
No.
I would not
But
mess
she
with
does.
Lila. I know.
Jess tells Lila that they'll make her sorry. And Lila says she'll do her part as long as it's nasty.
Yeah, apparently.
Ha 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 ha.
Lila is proper evil.
Pantomime evil laugh.
It is. Apparently, Lila gives Brooke a look, and Jess thinks that if looks could kill Brooke, Dennis would be crumpled over a desk.
So they're told to work on their book fair posters.
Yeah.
And everyone crowds around Jessica's Nancy Drew poster because it's so fucking good.
Yeah, everyone's admiring it, and it sounds amazing. Although Charlie Cashman has a competitive piece, as he says that hers is great, but his is more colourful. And Charlie has painted a boy in baggy green pants and polka dots.
What's that meant to be?
I have no idea, but the class laughed at it, so it was funny.
Yeah, I think I prefer Jessica's.
I think I prefer Jessica's as well.
I need to read a Nancy Drew book.
Yeah, maybe our readers
like
can
them.
suggest an entry book for Nancy Drew.
Well, my slight OCD of write books, I'll have to start at number 1.
Yeah,
I can't do it any other way.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, Mr. Bowman says because Brooke hasn't got a poster, she can help Lila with her Charlotte's Web poster.
Yes.
And Brooke tells her it looks like a traffic jam.
Yes, it looks more like a traffic jam than a spider's web. She's so horrible.
I know.
I'm surprised she didn't give Mr. Bowman lip, but at least she knew better than to do that.
And then Lila hands Brooke the paintbrush. Lila hands Brooke the paintbrush and says, well, if you're such an expert, you take over. And it's like, Lila, why? I would not be handing this girl, control over my poster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paint.
No, nor would I. Lila says that she's not surprised that Brooke knows all about bugs. But yeah, I wouldn't hand her this at all. I'd be like, then you can just stand there while I do it. Yeah.
So then, when she takes the paintbrush, but she accidentally knocks the jar of blue paint all over Jess's poster and ruins it.
She ruins the Nancy Drew painting.
Fucking bitch.
And it says that Jessica is so shocked and upset that she's actually just silent and just tearful.
But Lila's so furious that she's practically exploding.
Yeah.
I can just imagine her, she's gone all stiff and red.
Crimson. Yeah.
And then it's made even worse when Mr. Bowman comes over. And Brooke blames it on Lila.
Yeah, Brooke immediately, rather than just saying, yeah, sorry, it was a mistake, because the book's kind of clear that it was an accident, that she knocked it over by accident. Instead of just admitting it...
She didn't knock it over by accident.
Well, the book kind of says that she maybe did.
No way was that an accident. Definitely deliberate.
At this point, I thought that Lila might have done it on purpose, but later on it becomes clear that was not the case.
I think Brooke did it deliberately.
Yeah, in spite of the book, you're like, no, she did it on purpose.
Of course she did.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. She is such a piece of work.
I know. Then Mr. Bowman does that annoying thing, he puts them both on. He puts Lila and Brooke on clean-up duty. He's like, I can't be fucked to find out.
Yeah, I can't be bothered to
I'm
actually.
just going to punish you both.
Yeah, I'll just punish you. Well, I know one of you is innocent, but I'll punish you both.
Yeah,
just to be safe. And of course, Jess is heartbroken. She spent so much time on this. I know it was her excuse to not walk Brooke to school, but she was going on about this earlier in the book. Yeah. She loves this poster, and there's a prize as well that she can win, which we'll get to in a bit. So she was really And it was clearly the best one in the class as well.
Yeah. And then at lunchtime, things are clearly bad because Jessica and Lila, instead of sitting with the unicorns, they go and sit with Amy and Elizabeth.
I've got exactly that note that things must be really bad.
Things are fucking bad now.
It's like an emergency meeting, not including the unicorns.
They want to fill them in on the poster incident.
Yeah. Jess says that her whole life is ruined.
Yeah,
again.
She says the poster looks like a new Nancy Drew mystery called The Case of the Blue Smear.
Oh no.
And Amy, who must have calmed down now.
Yeah, she's just calmed down.
It was only an accident. Which, no, I don't think it was.
Well, neither does Lila.
And then suddenly the cafeteria goes quiet.
Oh.
And they see Brooke storming away from the lunch line, red in the face. Caroline comes over and she tells them that Brooke called Bruce a jerk for cutting the line. I'm sorry, but yeah, Bruce is a jerk for cutting the line. Yeah,
he is.
For once, I agree with Brooke.
So again,
glad someone told him.
Yeah, this is one of those occasions where I agree with Brooke. And again, it goes to show that basically the justification given in the book is that Bruce's dad has a lot of power in Sweet Valley, so no one should tell Bruce what to do. That's basically
Bruce
what the book
has so much money that he can do whatever the hell he likes.
And again, this explains so much of his behaviour in Sweet Valley High.
And then she also told Bruce that between him and Crybaby Wakefield, she's had enough of this school.
And this makes Liz fuming. Liz is really annoyed now.
You don't mess with Jess.
No, you don't mess with Jess.
And then, for some bizarre reason, I guess it's just to piss them off.
I did not. I was like, what is she
doing?
Brooke
just comes over and sits next to Lila.
Yeah.
Like, why are you sitting with these people?
And bearing in mind that at this point, they must all be giving her really shitty looks. Like, they must be sat there, like, staring at her like she's awful. And she just like, yeah, I'll go sit over there. Like, whoa.
And it gets all Mean Girls then. Amy's like, you can't sit with us. And yeah, you've seen Mean Girls, yeah.
I've seen Mean Girls, yeah, of course.
You know, and they're like, you can't sit with us.
Yeah.
And Brooke says it's a public school, and she can sit where she likes, and she refuses to move.
I've written down in all caps, literally, why would you do this? You're just being a prick on purpose now. Like, you're just literally, why have you done this? Why would you want
to sit with these people?
She's so awful.
And Lila and Liz back Amy up, and Jess says the seat is saved for somebody else. Their other sister, Jennifer.
Just the most genius idea ever.
They all play along, and Brooke is really confused because she thought there were only two of them.
Yeah.
And then Jess says, I'm just going to go and get some more pizza.
I just need to step out of the room a moment.
Yeah. Clark Kent style.
Yeah, it is like properly like, I need to go and make a phone call.
Go in this phone box.
I'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, because she rushes to her locker. She puts on a blue cardigan and a bow in her hair. It should be a red on the cover. The cardigan's red.
Yeah.
But apparently she puts on a blue cardigan. And then she comes back and she pretends that she's Jennifer.
Yeah. So Liz covers in the meantime, saying that Jennifer also had a stomachache and that she hates lemon meringue pie, which is why she wasn't there the previous evening. So that's why. Even though Liz didn't mention when they were walking to school that she'd meet Jennifer later. There was no mention of Jennifer until this point.
And Jessica speaks in a small whispery voice. And she tells Brooke she hopes they can be great friends.
Brooke says they can be, but not so... she says not so long as they hang around with these people.
Well, you went to fucking sit with them.
I know. It's like, she's literally gone to sit with these people, and then she's like, I hate these people.
Yeah. And then when she leaves, they all collapse in giggles, like, it's so funny. And Jessica says we can get Brooke to trust Jennifer, and then we can have some fun with her. Yeah,
so the plan is that Jennifer's going to become Brooke's best friend. Lila says once we've got her trust, we can have some real fun.
They spread the word around school, so everybody knows that Jennifer always wears a hair bow.
Literally,
in a soft, whispery voice.
That's not an exaggeration. The entire school, like
apparently so,
grade 6, even grade 8.
Yeah,
Janet
they get
and everyone,
Janet and Ellen to spread the word.
They somehow convince an entire school to go along with this stupid idea.
At least one person would be like, no, I'm not going along with that.
Yeah, I expected Bruce to just be like, what?
Yeah. So On the way home from school, Jessica plays Jennifer.
Yeah.
And she's really nice to Brooke. And Brooke confides in her that she doesn't like Jessica. And she says Jennifer is the only person at school she wants to talk to.
I don't understand. There is no reason given why she's just friendly with Jennifer.
I know, I didn't understand.
She's horrible
either.
to everyone else.
Like, all Jennifer did was say, I hope we can be friends.
Yeah.
And then...
But like Liz was being really
Liz
nice.
said that.
Like everyone said that, and it is like there's no reason why. She just for some reason she just loves Jennifer.
She loves
like,
her.
Okay, cool.
She loves her so much. She even asks Jennifer to go and see a movie with her on that night.
Yeah.
And Jess can't because she's got to cheer at the basketball game. So she tells Brooke, I've got to go and watch my sister Jessica cheer.
Yeah, she says you can't do anything without me.
Yeah, which is true.
Apparently Jess is dependent on Jennifer's support.
And then Brooke accuses her of liking Jessica more than her. It's like, well,
she's my sister.
She has only just met you.
And she's my sister.
Yeah, and she's your sister. Jess panics that she's going to lose Brooke's trust, and somehow she ends up like inviting her along to the basketball
she's like,
game.
why don't you come along?
And then she's like, oh shit,
I've got to cheer and be in the stands with her.
Yeah.
I wonder how I can get out of this one.
If only there was someone that looked like me.
Yeah, if only I had an identical twin.
After school, Jess has a unicorn meeting, and she persuades Liz to play Jennifer for the walk home.
Yeah.
Liz isn't keen, but as usual, she agrees to do things she doesn't want to do because that's what she always does.
That's how she lives her life.
And when she meets Brooke, Amy frantically rushes over, and she asks if Jennifer thinks Elizabeth has forgotten that they've got a Sixers meeting with Mr. Bowman about the music column.
Yeah. Jennifer, played by Elizabeth, actually says she hopes that Liz has forgotten about that dumb paper. And Brooke says, dumb is right. And then Liz as Jennifer, says she acts as if she's writing for the New York Times instead of some silly rag.
And I agree with Brooke.
I agree with Brooke, 100%.
But Amy meaningfully says that Mr. Bowman is looking for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth realises that if Mr. Bowman comes over and he calls Liz by her name, their plan could be ruined. So I'm surprised a teacher hasn't done this yet.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing that this
they've been in
happened
classes. Yet. I guess in their classes they haven't played Jennifer.
Yeah, like Jennifer doesn't have any classes with Brooke.
Yeah.
So that's how she's got away with it. But you're right, it is amazing that one of them hasn't walked past yet.
Yeah.
Just gone,
Mr. Bowman does spot them and he corners them. He tells Liz he needs to discuss the new music column with her. And Amy takes over and she says, you've got the wrong Wakefield. But she leaves out like the word twin and she leaves out the name Jennifer. Mm-hmm. So luckily Mr. Bowman buys it and everything's fine. They get away with it.
Yeah, Brooke says, I guess you must be sick of that happening all the time. And Jennifer says, yeah, it happens all the time.
At home, Jessica breaks the news to Elizabeth that she's going to have to play Jen again at the basketball game.
Yeah.
And as usual, again, Liz is reluctant.
Yeah, she says, maybe it's best if we just tell Brooke, because obviously Liz hates lying, and she says she had to speak to Mr. Bowman and claimed that she was sick because of what happened earlier. But we all know she's going to do it.
Yeah, she does it anyway. They start to pick an outfit out for Jennifer, and Jess says she should be more like Liz, not caring about how she looks. And Liz is obviously offended by this. But Jess says Liz is talented and good at so many things. And she says, what else have I got to care about other than being popular and looking good?
Yeah. Liz does say that Jess could be as smart as her if it wasn't for her focusing all of her time on cheerleading in the unicorns. But they have a plan, don't they, for what Jennifer's going to wear? Yeah,
for some reason they come up with the bizarre idea that Jennifer should wear Stephen's clothes. Why?
Well, this gets worse for me. Like, are rugby shirts a specific thing?
Yeah, what do you mean?
When they say rugby shirt, do they mean a shirt from a rugby team?
That's what I'm assuming.
Because
that's what they are in the UK.
Because
anyway.
when Jessica was pretending to be Jennifer, she said to Brooke she hated sports. So it's like, what are you doing?
And
this makes no sense.
She's gone from wearing like a bow in her hair, quite like a girly style,
to dressing like Amy.
A fucking rugby shirt.
Yeah.
I don't think even Amy wears a rugby shirt.
No, and she's the most tomboyish of them all.
So yeah, they borrow some of Stephen's rugby shirts and they let him in on the plan. and he's happy to lend them out.
He's happy to lend them out, but he is going to deny ever knowing anything about it if it comes out.
Mm-hmm. At the basketball game, Brooke tells Liz, Jen.
Jennifer, yeah. My notes get so confusing.
I know, and mine.
Like, it's like all over the
I've
place.
started writing Jen/Liz.
Yeah.
Like, Jess/Jen. So, she tells Jennifer that she can't believe how many kids like this stupid game. There's another thing she doesn't like, basketball.
Yeah.
And Liz plays along and says kids could do better things with their time rather than watch 10 guys fight over a ball. And then Brooke's like, wow, you really know a lot about basketball.
Yeah, like you know how many people play it.
Like acting like she's an expert just because she knew 10 people were on the team.
Yeah. I mean, I know that, and I've never watched basketball. Well, I've watched like one documentary on basketball. That's all I've ever watched.
And Liz lies that her father takes them to games. And Brooke says, all my dad cares about is movies.
Oh.
And Liz suddenly feels a bit sorry for her. And then she feels worse when Brooke compliments her outfit. Like, compliment her outfit. She's wearing a rugby sweater.
I know. I was like...
It's probably going to be way too big for her as well.
That was the other thing. It's Stevens, right? Like, she's basically there in, like, a man's too big rugby shirt.
Yeah.
It's like, what? But Brooke's like, oh, this is amazing.
It.
Brooke's like, I wish I could dress like you.
Yeah, she says she hates her own clothes. Her dad pays someone to pick them out and won't listen to what she wants to wear.
Yeah. And this makes Liz think that maybe she isn't as bad as she makes out. But then I have to remind our dear listeners, she kicked a dog.
Yeah.
She kicked a dog.
You can't get past that.
I can't get past that. This whole book I was like, no, you still
no matter
kicked
what
a dog.
She does now, she kicked a dog.
Yeah. I'm like, no, poor Sally.
Lila comes over to remind Liz about her birthday slumber party that weekend. And she makes a bitchy comment about Brooke's outfit being like too formal for a basketball game.
Yeah. She says that everyone who matters is invited and that formal dress isn't required for sporting events. And
Brooke is wearing a tangerine dress, a broad yellow and orange belt, and orange earrings. I think that sounds great.
She might be an awful person, but her fashion is on point.
Well, someone's paid to pick it out.
Yes, indeed.
She tells Liz that Lila tells Liz that she wishes she hadn't twisted her ankle so she could cheer. And Brooke says they all cheer like they've got broken ankles anyway.
Oh, she's so awful.
And then Liz is angry again. And she says the girls put a lot of work into those cheers. And Brooke says, well, maybe we shouldn't be friends if you're going to side with Jessica.
Yeah, like,
again,
she's not even necessarily siding with Jessica. There's a whole team of cheerleaders down there. Like, isn't Amy also on the boosters?
Yeah, she is, yeah.
So it's like, it might not even be Liz, Jess she's talking about.
And then Sweet Valley score, and Jessica starts cartwheeling. But she lands awkwardly and she falls down. She takes a tumble.
Oh my god.
Elizabeth's really concerned and starts to get up to go to her. But Brooke's like, leave it. Elizabeth notices Brooke's big, broad smile and she realises that she enjoyed watching Jess fall.
Yeah, she's enjoyed watching someone potentially really hurt themselves.
Absolute psychopath.
She's just horrible. She also said, when Jess started the cheer, Brooke immediately said, oh, I need an aspirin. Like, even the sound of Jessica is, like, offensive to Brooke.
So Liz is angry again and she decides she's all in with the plan now.
So yeah, seeing this apparently removes all guilt that Liz had about Brooke. And she thinks that Brooke is going to learn that no one will come between the Wakefield twins. And I've written here, except for the Unicorns, Madame Andre, Bruce Patman, Amy, the Sixers, the Boosters, the McCandy Witch, and Random Boys. But apart from that, no one's coming between them.
And then at home, the twins are getting ready for a family meal out.
Yeah.
And they start talking about Lila's birthday. Mm-hmm. And then Brooke says my favourite line.
This is quite something. This is Brooke's philosophy.
It's like the
birthdays.
Grinchiest thing ever to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brooke's philosophy on birthdays. She doesn't like birthdays.
No, of course not.
Because nobody asked to be born.
Damn.
And it doesn't take any talent to get a year older.
I mean, technically she is right. I mean, it doesn't take any talent to get a year older. And yeah, I think she just misses the point of birthdays. How can you hate birthdays, your own birthday? Especially at that age, right?
She confides in Jennifer
Yes.
/ Liz. She's confided that it's her birthday next Monday.
But she's promised not to tell anybody. Heaven forbid anyone know that it's her birthday on Monday, because she hates them.
Yeah.
I wish that Liz had turned around at that moment and was like, well, it doesn't take any talent to get a day older, does it?
Yeah, that's what they write on her in her card.
Yeah, it doesn't
Send
take
her a
any
card
talent.
saying that.
Congratulations on having no talent.
Jessica decides that Brooke's birthday will be the perfect day to get even with her.
Yeah, like, if we're going to ruin her life, let's do it on her birthday.
Well, yeah, she doesn't care about it anyway.
Yeah, she doesn't care. In fact, she hates it anyways. The day's already ruined by the fact that it's her birthday. So
far, Brooke hates birthdays, Johnny Buck,
everyone that she's
everyone
ever
at the
met.
school,
Lemon meringue pie,
Sweet Valley,
Sally, dogs,
basketball,
yep,
cheerleading, sports in general.
The Sixers,
Lila's Charlotte's web poster.
Yeah,
The Sixers.
The Sixers. She probably hates the unicorn. She just doesn't know they exist yet.
Yeah.
She just hates everything.
So they're heading to the Wakefield's favourite restaurant, the Beach View Inn. It's a new one.
Yeah, it is a new one. I hadn't heard of this one before, but apparently it's their favourite. Apparently Stephen doesn't care as long as his plate is full.
I bet.
But everyone else really loves it.
And at the Beach View Inn, they tell their parents about Brooke's behaviour. And Ned tells them to go easy on her.
Yeah, Ned asks how the twins are getting on with Dennis, Mr. Dennis's feisty daughter, and just says, if feisty means gross and disgusting.
And then we cut to Lila's slumber party, which, as you would expect, is no normal slumber party.
No.
It's like a huge affair. She's got 30 girls there.
Hey, just because Lila's popular doesn't mean she's snobby.
She's got 30 girls.
I know. And I actually wrote that, like, if I was a girl, this would sound like the coolest slumber party I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Well, actually, I was thinking it doesn't sound that good.
Did it not have, like, a sea of stuffed animals and, like, a massive TV where they were all watching?
I missed the sea of stuffed animals.
Yeah, so there was a
changes
sea of
things.
stuffed animals.
Yeah, it would.
Which I thought, I was like, that
everything.
elevates everything, right?
I've just written down they were watching movies on the big TV with popcorn.
Oh, no, yeah, they mentioned a lot of stuffed animals that they were all flying on.
You know, they should have mentioned Dream Phone.
Well, you're right. There was a
Girl
distinct
Talk.
lack of good board games, which is a key
Ghost
component.
Stories, attempted seances.
Attempted seances, at least one girl
That's
crying.
how I do slumber parties when I was a kid.
I know, your some slumber parties. Didn't you say once that it wasn't a slumber party unless one girl ended up crying?
Yeah, someone always ends up crying.
That's like the rule.
Yeah.
No one cries here, so it can't be that good of a slumber
Usually
party.
because, like, you said Candyman in front of the mirror 5 times. And
and you're terrified for your life.
Somebody gets way too scared and ends up hysterical. And then your parents have to come down. Sometimes they had to come and, like, be collected.
Oh, no.
To go home. But I didn't have 30 kids at mine.
No, that would be quite
There
excessive.
were, like, 5 of us. I think my maximum was 6. I was allowed no more than 6, including me.
Including you, yeah. That seems reasonable.
So they're watching movies, and Ellen suggests that they watch Car Capers.
Yeah, and Jess is like, she would rather die than give any money to Brooke. She'd
rather die than do a lot of things.
Yeah, she would, wouldn't she? Yeah.
Mary points out that every time they watch it, they'd be contributing to the care and the feeding of Brooke.
Yeah, yeah.
Not really.
No, not if you've already got it on video.
Yeah,
then it's it's too late.
Yeah.
It's not like they've not got video on demand.
There's no
right?
like downloads and stuff.
Presumably they've already owned it, so they've already helped pay for Brooke's food.
Yeah. And then we get the age-old cliche that never actually happens at slumber parties ever, but happens in every film and book. A pillow fight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't happen at mine.
Maybe at the slumber parties they didn't have seances. They had They had
maybe my slumber parties
fights.
were a bit darker than your average one.
Let us know, listeners.
Yeah. Were my slumber parties weird? Or
I think that every slumber party or sleepover that I had back in the day, there was always a spooky element.
Yeah, and they were all like, we were all influenced by The Craft back then.
Yeah,
all thought
yeah,
that
yeah,
we were
absolutely. Well, we
the
always
witches
used to
from
watch
the
horror
craft.
movies. Like, that was the thing we did.
We used to do light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Mm-hmm. Like, you actually did it. It worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
In my memory, it did work.
Well, we haven't tried it recently. Maybe we should give it a go.
Yeah, there's only 2 of us.
We need a... Yeah.
Do it on the cats.
Okay. We'll see if we can levitate Punk.
And then they start plotting how to ruin Brooke's birthday. And they decide it should be excruciating, revolting, and humiliating.
But what could be all 3 of those things?
Well, Jess suggests that it should definitely take place at the Book Fair Awards ceremony so that everybody can watch.
Yeah, they want to humiliate her in front of everyone.
And surprisingly, Liz agrees.
Well, Liz is thinking that she remembers back to how happy Brooke was that Liz fell over in front of everyone at the basketball game. So for Liz, it's like poetic justice.
Yeah, she says she wants Brooke to fall flat on her face.
I know. I actually made a note here that, like, this is Liz at her most villainous, this book.
Yeah.
I've never known Liz be like this. She's properly in on this. She's like, no, 100%, this girl needs to go down.
Yeah. And Liz also says when she tries to tell on Jennifer, the teachers will think she's crazy because Jennifer doesn't exist.
Yeah. Or they're going to quickly realise that they've been pranking her for ages.
Yeah.
I mean, what's more likely?
But Jessica has a plan. They're going to need the help of some boys because it involves tools and manual labour.
Oh my god.
And as we know, like
Heaven forbid.
Not even Tomboy Amy can deal with that.
Well, they didn't ask her.
They need some boys.
She might be there with her toolkit ready to go.
Yeah.
She's like, come on, guys. It's my moment to shine.
Yeah. But Bruce's dad has a workshop and Jerry McAllister takes shop. So they're going to get them to help to make a collapsible chair that Brooke can sit on at the book fair.
Yes, and when she sits on it, she's going to sit down and fall in front of the whole assembly and everyone's going to laugh at her.
The boys are happy to help because everybody
they're
hates
horrible
Brooke.
anyway.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
they'd
and
probably
yeah.
help with anyone.
I was going to say
Yeah.
they'd probably do it anyway.
And Tamara's brother is at the gym for a Boy Scouts meeting on the weekend, so they get him to sneak one of the chairs out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how?
I don't
How is
know.
he going to sneak a bloody chair out?
It's really weird because they make this point of like they sneak the chair out, no problem. But then there's this big problem now of how can we sneak it back in? And it's like, well, you managed to get it out with 0 problems. Just
Yeah.
do that in reverse. I mean, is it that big of a deal?
They take the chair to... Jessica and Tamara take the chair to Bruce's house,
Yeah.
and the guys get to work.
Yes. And Jess then comes up with the perfect plan to get the chair back into school. So apparently Stephen ordered a new backboard for his basketball ring, and the box is still sat out in the garage, and the box just happens to be the perfect size for a folding chair.
Yeah, and she says they can disguise it as Jennifer's book fair project.
Which, we
Like,
should remind you, is meant to be a
poster.
poster.
Yeah.
It's like the heaviest poster.
Yeah. That doesn't work out at all.
No, it doesn't work, but somehow it works.
So
There are a number of things in this book I'm like, that doesn't work
know.
at all, but somehow in this reality, this makes sense.
So Liz is going to have to walk to school with Brooke, and they
Yeah.
can carry it together because Jessica has a unicorn meeting that her whole future depends on. They're planning a fundraiser. I have no idea what for.
No, they never say.
But apparently, if Jess isn't there and they decide to sell magazine subscriptions, she will die.
I mean, again, her life will be ruined once again.
So the next day, Liz/Jen and Brooke are carrying the chair to school.
Yes, Brooks agreed to do it because she wants to see Jennifer win just to show up. The
Jessica.
crybaby
Yeah,
Jessica
crybaby
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
Yeah.
And then on the way to school, Brooke goes on and on about how Jessica ruined her chance of making friends because of the Postergate incident.
Postergate. It's called Postergate now.
Yeah, that's the name for it, Postergate. But like she said, she didn't want any friends.
Yeah, and Liz...
And also, if
Liz
she caused the poster thing, of course Jessica was going to cry when her poster's ruined.
Yeah, and Liz also points out that maybe if she just actually admitted to doing it and apologised at the time, half of this wouldn't be a problem. If she'd like literally been like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, that was an accident, that would have gone a long way, rather than just saying,
Yeah.
I didn't do it, Lila did it.
And then she says, this box is very heavy. It doesn't feel like a poster.
Yeah, funny that.
No shit.
It feels like a folding chair.
And Liz says, it's a surprise. And Brooke says, I'd feel sort of proud if Jennifer won.
Yeah, because Brooke keeps going on and on. Sorry, the names in this book, because Jennifer is thrown me completely. Brooke's going on and on and on about Jessica losing. So Jennifer is like, why do you even care if Jessica loses? And Brooke, in a moment of kindness, says, well, actually, I'd just be really proud if I saw you win.
Yeah, and then Liz feels sad again.
Yeah.
At school, Jessica and Lila are full of it as they set up the chair.
Oh, they're so happy.
They're like, oh, we're doing something mean.
Yeah, finally. And Liz is, and we don't because Jessica's moral compass is Liz. So Liz would normally be telling her off for doing this, but this is the one time she's even got the go-ahead from Liz. Yeah. So Jess is like over the moon.
She's loving
it.
She's
like, this is the best day ever.
They decide they're going to stick some black tape to the back of the chair so that everybody will know which chair it is and not to sit on it.
Again, to make it clear, the whole school has to be in on this again.
Yeah. Liz is having second thoughts, though, and she tells Jess and Lila that she just doesn't think that this plan seems very fair. But Jess and Lila talk her back around.
Yeah.
And then at lunchtime, Liz goes to meet Brooke as Jennifer.
Yes.
And Brooke looks upset.
She's looking worried and pale.
Mm. She takes Liz to a quiet spot on the lawn, and she says, this is where I come to think.
Yes.
And then they shoehorn in the obligatory mention of Liz's thinking tree.
The thinking tree, yeah. Oh, we're so alike now. Let's be best friends.
We both got somewhere we go to think.
We both go somewhere to think.
Wow. Brooke tells Jennifer, Liz, that she's got the birthday blues. And then she gives her a piece of chocolate birthday cake wrapped in foil. And she says, I hate chocolate. There's another thing for the list. She hates chocolate.
She hates chocolate. Apparently her father...
Who the hell hates chocolate?
People that are allergic to chocolate are the only people that hate... And even those people, I think, want it, but they can't have it. Chocolate's a weird thing to hate.
She just hates everything.
But apparently her father gets a bakery to make a cake for her. But obviously, he doesn't pay... I guess the argument is he doesn't pay close enough attention because he doesn't know that Brooke hates chocolate. But, let's be honest, what does she like?
Nothing.
I'd be like, well, I'm
Jennifer.
just going to... Yeah, Jennifer. I'll make a Jennifer cake for you.
So she also says the bakery delivery man's the only person who's wished her a happy birthday.
Yeah, her dad's at a conference. God,
it is getting sad now.
Oh, it is getting a bit sad.
It is getting sad. But she kicked a dog.
She kicked a dog. Right, so I've literally got this written down here. At any time, I've written in my notes, any time I started feeling sorry for Brooke, I wrote in here, but she kicked a dog.
She kicked a dog.
Yeah.
And then Brooke fights back tears as she opens up to Liz about her mum leaving them to go to Europe and remarry and have a new baby.
And she hasn't come back since to visit.
And she hasn't even sent Brooke a birthday card.
Yeah.
And she says Jennifer's the first friend she's ever had. She's always mean to people because she assumes they'll dislike her anyway.
This blew my mind. I had to reread this several times and I still don't understand. Mm-hmm. This is Brooke's logic. So, because her mum moved away and remarried, her mum's not around to do mum stuff with her, which leads Brooke to think that every person she meets is going to hate her.
Yeah.
I do not understand this logic, but apparently her mum not being around to do mum things means that every girl she meets is going to hate her. So
Lila hasn't got a mum.
I know, but this is her logic. So because of that, she's mean to everyone on the assumption they're going to be mean to her. So she's mean to them before they can be mean to her.
Yeah, and then she comes up with some weird excuse for kicking Sally as well.
Because, her mum used to be into dog grooming and stuff, and she hates the thought of dogs. But it's that's no excuse to kick a defenseless animal.
And she says she saw Jessica and Sally, and she thought that Jess had everything. And that's why she was so angry.
Yeah, and then I kicked the defenseless dog.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Liz feels guilty, and then she tries to persuade her to skip the book fair and go to the Wakefield's house instead.
But of course, she's lied too well as Jennifer, and now Brooke is like, no, you can't give up your like dream of winning this crappy book
you made
competition.
a special project.
Yeah, you made a really heavy special poster. A poster made of bricks or something.
And she says, I'm going to be in the front row to cheer you on.
Yeah, to be honest, if I was Brooke, I'd be like, I just carried this fucking thing like through half of Sweet Valley to get it here.
And now you're telling me you don't even want to use it. So they get inside, and Brooke is determined to sit at the front to cheer Jennifer on with her special project.
Yeah.
And then there's a big palaver which goes on for ages.
Well, Liz tries to send them to different seats.
Yeah, Liz trying to steer her away from the trick chair.
But of course everyone's in on it, so like Bruce comes along
over,
and then Lila, and they're all in on Jessica, it to force her to where there's only 2 chairs left.
Yeah, and then Liz decides to be a martyr, and she thinks she'll sit in the chair herself.
But then Jess runs down, and it's like, no, you'll ruin everything. It's like making it really obvious that something's going on.
Yeah. And then Brooke gets there first, and she sits in the trick chair. But it doesn't collapse straight away for some reason.
No, it manages to stay there. Well, it did say this earlier, because when Jerry tried it, it did stay there for a little while. So she sits there, and it doesn't collapse yet.
Jessica's presenting the prize, and she's won.
Yeah, can we just point out, Brooke is not in any way suspicious or weirded out by the fact that Jennifer's picture's not even on the stage.
Yeah.
It's like, if I got there, the first thing I'd be like, is like, which one's yours then? Like, which one did we carry in?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just not there.
Yeah, and Jessica's won, even though she didn't have a poster.
I really liked this. This was a really, heartwarming moment before a horrible moment. Mr.
Bowman says the judges agreed that her poster was the best before it was destroyed.
I thought that was lovely.
I did too.
That really pleased me, because Jess, you could tell in this book, Jess was genuinely heartbroken.
Yeah, and everybody in the school was really happy as well.
Yeah, everyone's
and even
happy.
Brooke is happy.
I know, this is so weird. So it's like, I feel like the writer got to this stage in the book and was like, oh no, they're meant to feel sorry for her, and I've made her just unlikable, like, to the point. And he's like, let's turn it around. It's a very
sudden change.
It's like all of a sudden she's really happy, and she even says like, oh, maybe Jess will like me now that this is okay. And it's like,
yeah, it's like we haven't made any effort so far. So
you kicked her dog.
What do you expect? And then she after they stand up and applaud, she sits back down again, and then it goes like full on, like the ending of Carrie. Like the chair collapses, the whole school just like laugh and point,
and then Brooke starts killing people with her mind,
and then a bucket of pig's blood goes over her head. No, that doesn't happen, but she sits on the chair and falls through it, and everyone's like, oh my god.
Yes, at first there's stunned silence, and then some giggles and chuckles, and then all out laughter. Everyone laughs, and of course Liz has the worst poker face ever, so as soon as Brooke looks up at her, she knows straight away, this was you.
And Liz tries to help her up, but she screams, don't touch me. She's worked out that Liz knew. Mr. Bowman comes over, and she tells Mr. Bowman it was Jennifer. And he's like, there's nobody called Jennifer in this school.
Yeah, and this goes on way too long as well, where Brooke is like, yes, there is. You're wrong, Mr. Bowman. Yeah. there is a third twin.
She runs out of the gym with Liz chasing after her.
Yeah, so Liz chases after her, thinking that if she doesn't make friends with her now, if her best friend has pranked her, she'll never trust anyone again. And I was thinking, like, I'm pretty sure she's never going to trust anyone again now anyway, like, regardless.
And then as Liz is chasing her, she starts thinking of that bloody tree again.
Yeah, the thinking tree.
And she remembers Brooke's thinking spot.
Yes, and of course, where else would Brooke be?
Yeah, she finds her there sobbing. And then I was really annoyed at this. Liz doesn't take any blame for this.
No, I know.
She tells Brooke, I tried to stop the others. It's like, no, you fucking didn't. Well, you did, but only 5 minutes ago.
You could have literally been like, mate, they're going to prank you with that chair, don't sit in it.
Yeah.
That like, and literally, you could have said that before you even went in the hall. And
she doesn't tell Brooke that, she was in on this as well all along.
She is literally pretending to be someone she's not as she's doing.
Yeah, I know.
She's still got the bow in her hair.
Yeah.
It's like, you're clearly responsible for this, Liz.
And she asks if they can be friends, and Brooke says, everyone hates me, and I don't care anymore. Back at home, Ned and Alice have heard what had happened.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mr. Dennis has given them a call.
Mm-hmm.
And they're furious. Liz tells them all Brooke's tragic tale. And Alice says she's going to have a long talk with Mr. Dennis. So Alice is going to dish out parenting advice, apparently.
Yes, Mother of the
Sure.
Year,
Yeah.
Alice Wakefield.
The twins say Brooke won't speak to either of them ever again, though.
Oh, no, but Stephen's got a really good idea.
Yeah.
He's got a blinder of an idea. So Stephen suggests that they both dress up as Jennifer to show that both sides of Jennifer like her or something.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
And that she's got
logic.
2 new friends instead of 1.
Yeah.
But
even though
like-
Jennifer is the symbol
of everything
of
they've
the
done
prank,
to hurt her.
and yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like rubbing salt in the wound.
Like,
I'd be
surely
like,
they'd be better off going as their genuine selves rather than the character they've used to trick her and taunt her for the last few weeks.
yeah. And by the way, this gets worse because not content with both dressing up like the girl that tormented her, they also put a bloody bow in the dog's fur.
Yeah. So Jessica says everyone at school want to make it up to Brooke, and they get everyone over to help.
So this confused me even more. I was like, maybe I'm assuming Jess is only going along with this because Alice is upset, right? So I get that. I know that Liz is genuinely sorry because it's Liz, right? Moral compass of the books. I do not buy for 1 second that the entire school is suddenly like, oh no, we feel really bad about this.
No, I know.
Like, Bruce Patman is going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry
Yeah,
I did
Charlie
this. I feel so
Kaufman.
guilty.
But they all go over to the Wakefields' house, and Liz explains to them again all about Brooke. And,
It's the McCandy witch all over again.
yeah. And then Caroline suggests that they throw her a birthday party at the Wakefields' house.
Yeah.
And Alice says she'll get Mr. Dennis to bring Brooke over later. Liz and Julie volunteer to make a cake, and Mary goes to the shops for snacks, and Caroline and Amy take charge of the decorating.
Yeah.
But Alice has some bad news.
Oh no.
Brooke is refusing to come. She says she never wants to see the twins ever again.
Oh my god.
What about Jennifer, though?
What about Jennifer? Does Jennifer count? Would you like a dog if we dress the dog up like Jennifer?
Oh, God, we're going to get to that now. So Liz says,
Poor dog.
Liz says, we'll just go to her. And she drags Jess out of the door. But they don't go straight to Brooke's house. They go to Mrs. Bramble's. Their next bizarre plan is to dress Sally up as Jennifer as well.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Just to rub salt in the wound. This poor dog. The book even makes a point of saying how confused Sally looks. Like, Sally is just completely confused.
Yeah, they just go and borrow this dog.
What
Like,
does Mrs. Bramble say? I wouldn't trust these
I know.
kids ever again with
after
my
what
dog.
happened with Sally last time in
know.
Sneaking Out,
Yeah.
which
And
go
I know
back
that
listen
Jess
to
is-
if you haven't.
I know that Jess is meant to be walking her for a month, but, like, this is a bit
Yeah,
extreme.
I don't think that happened. 'Cause that's never mentioned.
It's not mentioned at all in this book, so I'm assuming...
Yeah, they're
it
just
didn't.
like, oh, let's borrow the dog. And she's like, okay. And then they just put a dog in Sally's hair. And
And off she goes.
I haven't, like, why?
I
And
don't
also,
know.
I imagine Sally probably would be quite scared of Brooke.
Terrified of
Because
Brooke.
last time she saw her, she did kick her in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, they drag Sally along. And then when Brooke answers the door...
I just imagine, you know, when like you see dogs don't want to go somewhere and they're pulling against their leads and their owner's just pulling them. That's how I imagine this entire
Maybe they
journey.
got the squeaky porch
Like
off
Sally's
out
like,
again.
no, I just want to go home to Mrs. Bramble. I just want to be with my mum.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
They must have brought the squeaky pork chop.
Of course, yeah, her squeaky
Sally's
pork
favourite
chop
toy.
and the bed.
Yeah. And then when Brooke answers the door, they look so ridiculous. I fucking bet they do.
Yeah.
That she can't help smiling. And Liz says they brought Sally to remind her of when she first saw
Was
Jess.
that time you kicked our
Yeah.
dog?
Like, we just brought her to remind you of the time that you first saw Jess and you hated her and you kicked the dog.
Yeah. We just brought this dog along to remind you that you started
And
all
we're
of
dressed
this.
up as Jennifer to remind you that we've been, like, tricking you and lying to
Yeah.
you. This is a really shit plan.
This is the worst idea ever.
Um,
This is only a good plan if you're planning on going around to rub salt in the wound.
I know.
Like,
But
that's
they
like the
explain
only...
to her that Sally isn't even their dog, and first impressions can be wrong. They didn't really have to take Sally to prove that point.
No,
did
they could have just
They
said
could have
that.
just said that.
Yeah.
And And Jessica says she thought Brooke had everything with her perfect clothes and famous father. And Brooke's like, oh my God, I thought you had everything. And they're like, no, we thought you had everything.
This
and
has
they're
all
like, oh
been
my
a
God,
big-
we all love each other.
This has all been a big misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Let's be best
You're
friends.
amazing. No, you're amazing.
You're amazing. And then Sally sat there like, you kicked me.
Yeah. I hate you.
I hate you forever.
And then Mr. Dennis comes out and he says that her mum loves her as well. And she's visiting in the summer, but he wanted to surprise her. But it's like, well, she didn't send her a fucking birthday card.
Yeah, I know.
Like-
I think he's lying.
Yeah, just made
I
that
think
up
he's
on the
phoned her
spot.
and he's
oh,
like, you
shit.
have got to come and visit
Yeah.
her. Like, she's literally falling apart.
Yeah.
And then he's gone to her and been like, oh yeah, it was all a big surprise. She was
What
coming
kind
down.
of mother wouldn't send a card?
Just a card.
Yeah.
It's just a card. Like, she's not even done that.
And then the twins tell her they've got another surprise for her at their house. So she agrees to go. When they get there, everyone jumps out and yells surprise.
Of course.
And she's touched. And they all have a great, happy birthday party.
Yeah.
Later on, after the party, the twins are being all smug. And they're like saying, oh my
It's
God.
like, we've done such a good thing,
We're
guys.
so great.
Pat ourselves on the
Yeah,
back.
they literally are like that. They're like, oh my God, we pulled the party off. It was so good. We're so amazing.
Yeah.
Like for ages.
Like how great we are.
And then Jessica says, well, maybe we can help Mary too. And Elizabeth's like, what's wrong with Mary?
Mm.
And Jess says, well, I noticed it was weird how Mary was clinging on to our mum all day. And I think there's something going on with her.
Oh my God. But
And then,
what could it be?
Well, what secret is Mary Giacchio hiding? Find out in Sweet Valley Twins number 7. And then it doesn't say the title of it.
Yeah, well, that's good because they have often changed the title in between books.
It's called Three's a Crowd.
Oh, okay.
But we have some news because in a fortnight's time we will not be doing Three's a Crowd.
Because it's
We're
spooky
doing
season.
it in 4 weeks' time. Yeah, we're doing our Halloween special.
We are. We've got 2 books for Halloween, one for Casey's and one for Kelly's.
And the one for Casey's will be in 2 weeks' time, and we are covering The Ghost in the Graveyard.
Ooh.
Super chiller.
Super chiller, yes. It's going to probably be a longer episode because it's a longer book.
Yeah. I've never read it before, I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I might have read it when I was a child. I can't remember.
I've never read any of them, so it's all new to me. But I'm excited for a spooky
Yeah,
episode.
I'm really excited.
Because we were... I don't know if we made this clear in the episode, but we were really hoping that the haunted house episode, the witch episode, was going to be really spooky, and it really wasn't.
No.
So we're looking forward to a twins spooky one, and
Yeah.
this one looks like it's going to be spooky.
Yeah. So look forward to that in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, go back and listen to The Haunted House, episode 3.
Episode 3, yes.
It's a little bit spooky.
It's got some spooky moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're meant to be selling it here. It's spooky.
Yeah, I know the
Perfect
podcast.
time to listen
the
to
podcast
it.
is great, but yeah, the book is it's got some spooky moments. There's like a mysterious, maybe someone's locking their husband in the loft. The Mercandy witch.
Liz gets sawn in half.
Girls getting snatched off the street.
So yeah, join us in 2 weeks for The Ghost in the Graveyard. In the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
We're under Kelly's Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Leave us a comment and let us know what you thought of this episode or this book if you've read it.
Absolutely. We love your comments. Keep them coming in, and we hope you're as excited as we are for some spooky books.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for Halloween.
Yes.